So you would order like.
So I go and I order, literally it's like, give me the largest cup you have. And they
Mhm.
don't like, well, that's, I don't know what to charge you. Just charge me for two. Just put it in a big cup. I don't, give me two small ones. Just put it all in a big cup. I can't drink coffee like that. It's. I mean, you can see my daughter brought me this mug from Ireland. She was just there.
Mhm. Okay,
So
cool.
this is like a super giant one. This makes like 3 cups of coffee in one.
Yeah, they do their coffee mugs like they do their pitchers.
Yeah.
So funny story. When I had went to Paris, you know, I for breakfast I drink OJ, right? So that's the two main beverages, coffee or OJ, for a breakfast meal. So it was the first time I was out there. I ordered some orange juice to go along with my breakfast. And us Americans, we like it big and large, right?
Hmm.
Freaking when they brought the OJ out, it was freshly squeezed, but it was a small little cup. And ever since then, I have never drank like a large cup of OJ
Oh,
because
really?
I realized like I didn't need that
Right.
big of a cup.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just
That's that,
needed.
that's one thing my daughter told me when she went whatever 3 weeks ago. She was in Scotland and London, England, and Ireland. She's
Mhm.
been there for the first time, and she came back like the biggest kind of shock she had was how little the portions on the meals were.
Yeah.
Like, Daddy, she's like, you don't understand. They don't eat. It's like not. So she doesn't eat a lot. She's not like a big eater.
Mhm.
And she was like, I was hungry. How small the
After the meal, right?
yeah, like they're like during the day, she's like the portion is so small. Like I was actually hungry. I was like looking to eat because she's just not. She's one of those light eaters. She just doesn't eat a lot. She
Yeah.
eats, but just not. She gets full relatively easy. And
Mhm.
she was
Mhm.
like, I was hungry, so I was like, that must have been small portions for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Like here, I feel like in the United States, I
Oh,
feel like
everything.
eating is a sport.
Forget about it.
Like, and I've got some family, like when I go over their house, I'm like, man, I can't eat like this. This is too much.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
all right, Robert Murillo, broker associate here with Team Aroa at Compass, Florida. Here with John this morning on the DM. What's going on, John?
Good morning, John Sepulveda, MLS 1309244. Ready for another update. Got some housing data for you today.
Let's hear it, man. Let's hear it. What's going on out there
Well,
in the crazy real estate
I
world?
think it was the first episode or second, whatever, when I kind of showed the chart and started talking about the numbers and kind of said, well, this month's report, which is coming Friday, the
Mhm.
data is not so still. It's the May 10th report. That's when we're going to see the big drop, right? And in the meantime, we have a whole bunch of other every week. There's weekly reports. So we got the housing data yesterday, which
Mhm.
was signed contracts in February. So it's pretty live, as up to date as you can, right? As you can have.
So live contracts executed in
Signed
February,
contract in February. Yeah. So pending
closing,
home sales.
closing this month and next month.
Correct. Yeah. Pending home sales.
Mhm.
And it went, so the expectation was that report to be down 3% month over month. It was up
Mhm.
8% in January. And if you recall, rates kind of dropped in January.
Mhm.
So, and then kind of market switched at the beginning of February and rates jumped up like another point again, really quick, like much faster than they dropped, they jumped up. So
Mhm.
there was expectation that obviously was going to hurt, right? February, typically, slow months. January was really high. So that was, so the expectation was going to be a big drop off. They were expecting 3% decline month over month. That was the expectation in the market. And it went up 0.8%,
Mhm.
which is not much, right? We're still down like 21% year over year. So we have a way to go. But the fact that January was a lot higher than expected, there was no revisions to the January report. So that was accurate data. And now they're expecting a 3% decline in February, and it actually goes up 0.8%. So if you recall, the title I had used, as a matter of fact, I have it here because I was looking at it yesterday. The title I put on that thing is "Higher Rates Can Be a Benefit to Buyers Who Act Now." That was the title I put in there. And if I were going to rewrite that and we were going to do that again today, I would be higher rates can be a benefit for a couple more weeks to buyers who act now, because the time window is running out. So because if in February, when rates jumped up again over 7%, and this data is showing an increase, slight, however, an increase in pending sale contracts, as rates go down, that that means buyers are starting to come off the sidelines and say, okay, I need to buy. It's I got to look at buying, because again, no matter how you look at the math, how you do it, renting is for the most part always going to be more expensive than buying.
Yeah.
Even if the rates are high long term, people are still better off buying and owning their home than paying rent. So people are starting to kind of get off the sidelines. And the data, I mean, just the data, lies figures don't lie, right? So as these reports come up, you're going to start seeing that the housing costs are starting coming down, things are kind of stabilizing, and that's going to have an effect on the bond market, and therefore it's going to have an effect on the rates. So 5% rates in the fives at some point this year is kind of what the data is pointing to, and it looks very, very possible. So if in the sevens, high sixes and sevens, we're still seeing an increase. It's a matter of time. Once they go down a little bit, there's a lot of people on the fence that are there waiting, and they're going to jump in the market, and market's going to get tight again. I saw you shared a post with data, housing data. I think it was Orange County. I looked at it. There's not a lot of inventory.
Yeah, it's not.
It kind of matches the story. We've been sharing here. I mean, there's just not tons of inventory, so there's less buyers, absolutely, but there's less inventory, and then there's the less buyers. I feel that are not that there's no buyers. There's just less buyers in the game. They're all on the sideline waiting.
I also think, theoretically speaking, in January, sales tend to be down anyways, because everybody's getting back from the New Year's and the holidays and going back to their work. It's an inconvenient time for people to move. I think come springtime, going into April, May, the school year is ending, so people tend to pick up activity and prepare, like, okay, the kids school is ending, so let me go ahead and let's make the move now, going into the summertime instead of at the beginning of the school year.
That's you're 100% correct. The thing is that even though with that traditional way of thinking in the market, for January to go up 8% year over year, when rates are
haywire,
quote, as high as they are, and it still went up 8% a month over month, that's an increase, right? It went up from December to January. That's a big jump. It's down year over year, but month over month, so it's increasing, right? Obviously, we had the pandemic, we had everything. So obviously, I mean, that's the rates went up, and so that's the reason why. But now you're seeing little by little every month the market, it's picking up. It's not tanking. It's not tanking, because if there's a crisis like the media is trying to sell, the data is not supporting that. You know what I mean? There's the data has to support what you're saying, or the actions. Can things change? Absolutely. But the data shows you the charts, like, it doesn't happen overnight. That's all that stuff that's happening, much like the recession, what we've been talking about. You can say all day long soft landing and pivot and no recession and change the terms, but if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
Yeah, so it's like the real estate terms that they say we use for listing descriptions, that it actually means the opposite of what we're saying. Like cozy really means small. What's another one? I don't know. There's a bunch. There's
spacious.
Yeah, spacious means it's claustrophobic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the reality. So it's moving, and the sort of the issue at hand is that you can only see what you can see. And what you can see right now is rates are really high.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole like similar, like the perfect analogy is that roller coaster analogy. Like, and it's not just for the costs, the lagging indicators. It's really for everything. You know, you see the card at the front, and they're like, but the people in the back haven't felt that yet. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where we're at, and it's coming to that time though. And you know, why May 10th? Like, where'd you get May 10th from? Well, that's the date when the data comes out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the previous month, the data's tracking. And if you look at the data from that same meeting a year ago, which is how they track it, you compare last year's data to this year's data. I mean, it's not complicated. You look at the charts and it's there. So that's the date when that number comes out. If the inflation should be much lower than what it is now, because the housing costs are going to be lower. Now you're going to say, oh, and that's in the next Fed meeting is May 4th.
So when do we reach a state of normalcy?
Oh, I don't know, man. If I knew that answer, we wouldn't be heading into this podcast. I'd be on the beach somewhere, smoking at the beach, like counting my money if I could predict that.
Listen, we say rates are high, but I mean 6.5%, 5%, 4%. Like, okay, I get it. 2.5 is really, really, really low, you know? But I still think, wouldn't a 6% interest rate be normal? It's under double digits.
I mean, normal.
Are we ever in a state of normalcy?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like normal, it's on the eye of the beholder. You know what I mean? Because
is unpredictability becoming the new norm?
I believe so. Because it's so many like now, 2.5% is phenomenal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you really boil the fat, it's not a realistic number.
Yeah,
it's just not realistic the way the system is set up for you to do because 50 years ago, somebody bought the house and stayed in that house forever. And the people that bought the house 50 years ago, if they're not still living in the house, their kids are probably still living in the house. Like it's the times are different then than they are now. So now people are not. Back then, that would have been a great solution.
50 years ago, a single income can afford an entire household.
100%. I mean, but I'm saying it's just the mentality.
Yeah.
Was
like
not, I'm going to go shopping and move up and this and that. It was, and people stayed in that house.
The family home was its home for generations.
So you're going in long term. Things have evolved, and things are different. So people are no longer really looking for my forever home. They're looking for the starter home. That's kind of the term, you know what I mean? The first time home buyer, starter home, and then move up home, and then downsize, and then empty nest, and then there's kind of these stages. Back then there wasn't really
four stages, the 4 cycles of home ownership.
So they're trying to that rate is really not realistic from an investment perspective, right? If you're an investor, you want to invest your money, getting people for 30 years at 2.5%. There's no money in it. I mean, where's the money? How are you going to make money? 2.5%, when on the market you can get 4, 5, 6, whatever. So that's not realistic, and then 10% is not realistic either, right? It's too high. People can't afford it. I mean, 4 to 5, like in the 5s is a stable kind of number. And unlike, Janet yelling at that meeting, she has a lot more knowledge and education, is a lot more smarter than I am. So I'm sure she has a reason why 2%, I just, based on math, I think 4 or 5% makes kind of sense. It's not too low, it's not too high, but I don't have any training or any, special expertise to kind of say that's the number, but it kind of makes sense. The higher it is, obviously the less
studying
affordable.
Over 10 years, right?
Say what?
I said you've been studying over 10 years.
Well, but I don't have the degrees and all the funky stuff that they have. I mean, those people are economists. The problem is, I think that
you don't have to have the degrees.
They live in an academic world. Like it's all theory. They've never they never owned a business in their life. They don't know what it's like to, meet payroll on Friday. And not have the money on Monday, like what the struggles that small businesses, go through on a daily basis. So they
Mhm.
don't, you know what I mean? It's kind of a different situation. They have this theory, and it's all great on theory, but when you apply it to
Real
real
life,
world,
real life application.
that's when it gets complicated, and that's where there's a disconnect, right? Because everybody's like, "What are you doing?" And they're up there, well, soft landing.
All these labels.
But losing your job is not a soft landing. Like getting laid off from your work and like not being able to provide for your family is not a soft landing. I mean, that's just devastating, no matter how you look at it. Even if you're in the tech and you're making, hundreds of $1,000s a year, and you get laid off, you still, you got a wife and kids at home that, they want some food with the meal. So it's devastating. There's no such thing as a soft landing when you lose your job. So
They want that
it's
big
messy.
cup of juice with the large portion.
There was when Powell was in the Senate, Elizabeth Warren was drilling him, drilling. She's a senator from Massachusetts, drilling him, and basically, which I was glad to see, actually. I mean, she was like, so you're gonna raise unemployment and you're gonna devastate people's lives to fix, like, that's it, that's your only solution. You can't come up with something else. And no, there's got to be pain in order to, it's gonna be a lot of pain. There has to be pain to, tame inflation. So the consequences are going to be, bad for people, and that's just not fun. Just being laid off is not a fun situation for anybody.
A couple weeks ago, we had briefly mentioned the statistics or the differences, or actually in the rates are too high video we did, how many foreclosures there were back in 2008 versus how many there are now. Now it's about 400,000, right?
No. What's 400,000, 500,000 is the available homes. And back then it was 4 million. I didn't have the percentage,
gotcha.
but the percentage of foreclosures now is minute. Like this, it's just really not it's not really a number that they're even tracking, because it's not there. I mean, there are some, obviously, that's going to naturally happen, but it's not really it's not there.
Okay, so now, do we see ourselves having an excess supply of homes? Because what I see now, some builders, they're doing the build to rent model versus the build to sell. Like, yeah, they're okay with selling, but they have no problem building 100 homes and renting them out since the demand is so strong. So do we see ourselves ever having an excess in supply and little to no demand?
Not at the current rate, not at the current rate of, not rates of interest rate, but the rate of action. Because as just from that data, like the new household formations, which is new people that get married, people that move out of their parents' home, new households are formed. The expectation nationwide in this year is 1.9 million. And the last month's report, this month hasn't come out yet, last month's report, the permits, where the new permits from builders was 1.345, like annualized production, it's like 1.4 million, 1.4 and change million homes that they're building, like new buildings that they're building. But there's 1.9 million household formations expected, right? So if they build 1.4 million, but there's new 1.5 million new households, there's a 500,000 right there without really going anywhere. There's a 500,000,
Well, the 500,000, that would be the available homes that's on the market.
No, that's short 500,000. They build 1.4 and they need 1.9. They're short 500,000 right there without anything else. And I mean, it's not, the math is not there. So they would have to significantly increase the builder, new permits, new starts, new finishes, in order to kind of even catch up to the demand. So I don't see that there, because the only way to repeat 08, the issue was people were upside down, so they owed more than the home was worth, so there was no equity. So people had no leverage. People had, all they could do was pay, and even if they continued paying, they had no knowledge if the house was going to go back in the price. They had no idea. So that's when people panic, and they just stop paying. Just like they're walking to the banks and making a run and taking their money out.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna leave my money in the bank, and they go take it.
The uncertainty is the killer.
The uncertainty is the killer, especially with if you're dealing with, the masses who don't have the correct information.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They just, this is like, if this is bad, right? Well, sort of the lack of information, it's bad in English.
Mm-hmm.
You should listen in Spanish. I
Oh,
mean,
I
it's
already know.
sad, sad, sad. The stage of like Spanish media in this country,
Mm-hmm.
like it's sad, it's terrible, it's awful. Like people don't know what's going on. They have no clue.
The largest underserved market is Spanish. Is the Spanish.
100%. They spend more time, like the Spanish networks. They spend more time giving news about the other Latin American countries than here where the people live. It's like, okay, you just listen to the news from your country, but here, just don't worry about it. Go work.
About it. Yeah, exactly.
So people are, just they're doing their lives and doing things. They're 100% in tune what's going on in Colombia. Like Colombians are 100% in tune, and the government, and this is happening, this is doing, and here they have no clue. Oh no, I can't buy a house; it's too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the data. The data shows that you're going to be paying a lot more money at the end of the year. Go buy your house.
Sounds like we got to do something about that.
Well, I mean, that's kind of why we're doing this, right? Trying to just provide information and just say, hey, here's the data. Look at the numbers, and you decide for yourself. If you look at the data and it doesn't make sense for you, then walk away.
Mm-hmm.
But don't walk away without looking at the data, just because what the media is saying. I mean, I was watching. There's a particular person in a particular channel that just that's I don't know how she has a job. Like I don't understand. Like I guess I do understand. Her job is to, like, I don't know why, be negative about housing and just impact and come up with these headlines that even this headline yesterday, like at the beginning of the week, last week, median home prices went down 0.2%.
Mm-hmm.
So the medium, obviously, it's just so the audience, right? The medium is sort of the price that's in the middle, right? It's right in 50%. There's 50% are higher and 50% are lower. That's just the median, right? So that number went down 0.2%. Now, the way that is calculated, they take into, so there's definitely two markets. There's two real estate markets. You got the high-end luxury market, and then you have the non-luxury market. And the high-end luxury market has definitely come to a halt. I mean, people are just not going out and spending millions of dollars. They're holding off on that. The move-up buyers that are buying into those properties, they're not. They have their mortgage at 2.5%, 3%. They're not really to sell that and go up to a mortgage at 6.5%. So those buyers are on hold. It's the lower price points, the first-time home buyers, the people that are renting, those are still moving. So if you have a reduction in the high cost, like the high expensive homes, if there's less of those and there's more less expensive homes being sold, of course the medium price is going to have to adjust, right? Because it's just math. There's nothing else. So she kind of led the headline like, housing crash, gloom and doom, down 0.2. The median price is down 0.2%.
Blew it out of proportion.
But meanwhile, at the same report, FHFA came out, and FHFA measures the mortgages that are conventional loans and people that have a mortgage. They don't track cash transactions and jumbos.
Mm-hmm.
It's only people that have mortgages and conventional. And their numbers went up 5.7% in the same report. The median went down 0.2, but sales, the pricing appreciation based on sales of conventional loans and people that took out a mortgage, pricing went up 5.7%. The Schiller report, which does a similar report, however, they consider jumbo and they include people that pay cash, that has appreciation up 3.5%. So that has the jumbo loans mixed into it. So obviously jumbo sales, non-conforming, those prices, like I said, they've dropped. So there's less of those. So that's the difference. You take the cash and the jumbo out of the FHFA, and 5.5 is the number. 5.7. It's the the appreciation, right? So she didn't talk about that headline. She just said medium down, crash. Yesterday with this headline, housing. So the pricing went up the pending home sales went up 0.2%. Nothing to do with pricing. Home sales went
Mhm.
up. So she heard that, and I was like, housing crisis, eked a small 0.2% gain. Like, don't worry about it. This gloom and doom is coming. The word's going to over. Don't buy a house. I mean, and that was her headline was that. Like, those are the ad sheets, like tiny, small fraction, 0.2%. Like,
You're
insignificant.
downplaying it.
Exactly. And but it's the same store, but no, it's not the store, man. It just went up 2 times. Like that, the spring season's coming. The rates are coming down. Like, just hang tight. It is going to be busy this spring. There is going to be a market this spring. You watch. You watch the
Mhm.
spring, and by the summer, when we're having this conversation again, and we'll go back to these tapes and see, well, we're at 5%, and and sales are up, and people are buying, and properties are up, and people are putting multiple offers again, and people are, I don't think overbidding. I don't know if we're going to go that crazy,
Yeah.
but definitely multiple offers and less concessions from sellers. You can expect that.
I think the core principles are definitely going to apply. Anything under 400,000, you present it the right way, and you put it on the market clean. It's going to get multiple offers, but no crazy overbidding. I mean, if anything, sellers are just nervous about getting the preferred terms and not having to come below what they're asking for at least.
Although they're asking. Yep. What
So
we're looking for.
yeah. So really quickly, I have a question.
What do you got?
Let's talk about the role of artificial intelligence in real estate, right? And how it's revolutionizing the industry. Okay. So what AI is being plugged into your systems on the mortgage side to help you understand a buyer's position?
There's really not much AI yet for
I
that
think,
part.
yeah, what we spoke about last week was the how it calculates the multiple scenarios, right? When you plug in the numbers, there was something that we spoke about that plugs in the multiple scenarios with the LLPs. You remember that?
Right, but that's but it's not. That's something that they work in the pricing, so automatically it calculates it. But there really isn't AI used, at least to my knowledge,
Mhm.
used on a day to day to aid borrowers in the loan process. Really, the AI and it's more of like external facing, like, so that, marketing, and it's
Mhm.
creating videos, and it's creating web pages, and it's creating sales scripts, and it's really more
On the marketing side.
on the marketing side, or it's more on the, there's a feature that, when somebody, gets their rate pulled, that's AI, right? When somebody pulls
Mhm.
their rate, they're in the database, much similar to likely to sell, right? It's a similar tool. So that is, but that's more marketing, right? Somebody pulls you, like, and that happens when I have a client that their credit gets pulled and it's a mortgage related pull, they start getting phone calls, flooded with phone calls, lenders offering them to, let me do your rate. Let me know here's a, just making offers, because there's triggers that alerts them, and it's all based on AI. So it's
Yeah.
really more marketing. It's not there yet, as far as, like, I'm a borrower, and I can eliminate sort of the human, if you would. We're not there yet. It's just
Do
like real
you do
estate.
you see do you see in the future AI eliminating the real estate agent or the loan officer?
Absolutely not.
You still need the people.
You need to have the personal touch, right? Because even if people don't think about it, it is the largest. I've said this several times. It's the largest financial investment most people will make in their lifetimes. Most
Mm.
people will not invest in anything that's $300,000, $400,000. It's just not. It's just people. For the majority, people don't do those type of investments other than the primary home. Some
Yeah.
people do buy a second home and maybe a third, but those numbers are smaller and smaller as they move up, right? So in general, it's just such a big number, such a big investment. So how do you replace that with a bot? The emotion is not, what I mean? You need that. People need that emotional sort of support, which they're not going to get from a computer.
Yeah.
I was talking to a buyer yesterday. He's thinking about it. He's fairly organized, he's a friend, you know what I mean? And he wants to buy another house, and it's an opportunity, and it's looking at the numbers and the math, and he has a number in his mind, and I'm telling him, walk away, man, don't do it. He wants to do it. He really wanted to, and I walk away.
He's emotionally vested into it
It's
already.
too emotional. Walk away. Don't do it. That doesn't behoove you. Like, it's just, if the number doesn't, and I advise them on how to approach sort of the, with the seller to do a 3-2-1 buy down to get him where he needed to be and be comfortable, and because it's just peace of mind. He can afford it. It's just peace of mind, right? But if the peace of mind is not there, and you're going to make an investment, and you're stressing about it, and it's costing you like pain and anxiety, don't do it. Like, just walk away. Like, walk away from it. You don't need it. You're not homeless. You're not. This is an investment. Like, it's not supposed to wipe you out if something happens. So walk away. I mean, that's just, so a bot can't do that.
Yeah.
A bot just cannot. Now, at the same time, I mean, I can't generalize like that, but I think you'd agree with me. For the most part, most loan officers in the same situation would be, yeah, buy, and here's the number, and do it, and push that.
Encourage, yeah.
I'm not discouraging him, but I'm saying, dude, if you're not comfortable with it, don't do it. Walk away from it. Look for something else in a lower price point, because you're why go into a situation just because you can potentially, fix the house and make a whole bunch of money down the road, and you're going to put yourself now in a situation where you're stable, you're okay, and something Indian, could turn, and you could be wiped out.
Monkey in the wrench.
You know what I mean? Like, it could happen like that, and so that's how people get wiped out. So, there's a fine line between telling people, yeah, buy, and giving the right advice and say, hey, here's all the numbers, here's all the information. Now you're the one that needs to make a decision. I can't make a decision for you. I can give you the data, and you decide what's best for you.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, all right, let's just say the artificial intelligence, right, is guiding us with all this marketing, and essentially helping us improve our systems to be more efficient and to enhance the customer experience. What is it that we need to do to, I guess, be more enabled with it?
I think now, and I think that's the way AI is, right? I think AI brings somebody like me, who's super technologically challenged, and it puts me at, not on a level playing field, but, and I use this analogy when I do my financial, classes, right?
Yeah.
People, and for the most part, right, a lot of people are like, and this is actually in the Spanish class, right? So I took the context of this, what I'm about to say, was geared towards the Hispanic community. And what I said in the seminar was that Hispanics, like myself, like my family, right, we migrate here, we come to this country, and we don't really know the rules of the game, right? People come here as adults, and their entire lives are in another country, in another continent, speaking a different language and a different culture, and they have a way of doing things, and they suddenly come here to the United States, where things are very different. The way things operate and the way the system works is very different than it is in most Latin American countries, if not all. And they come here and they start working, and they start learning the system, right? They start learning the language and the culture and the system as they go. So one of the first things they do is buy a house, because everybody buys a house, buy a house. They got a place to live. So a lot of people go into home buying not having a clue as to sort of what's in the market. So that same kind of buyer, right, is also, somebody like me. There's agents, there's lenders, right? Then you got the people who are just not technology, they just don't have that technology base. So they're coming in here, and AI is going to allow somebody like, me. I'm a loan originator. I'm not super techie. But I need a web page. I can now buy a web page where I fill a form and tell the thing, the form, fill out in the form what my logo, upload my logo, my name, what do I do for business, who's my, just description of my business, and that will spit out a completed website that's going to have certain marketing parameters, right, for SEO and all these other things that are going to be there, and the color scheme is going to like kind of match, and it's going to be, me, I set up, I'm going to do a web page. Okay, how do my colors? I hate green and brown, so it's not going to be green and brown. Right? I don't know anything. So
Yeah.
that's how most people operate, right? That's how, a small business owner, I know how to cook. Okay, I'm going to open up a restaurant. And they open up a restaurant, but cooking is one thing, and running a business is a completely different animal.
Yeah.
So they do really well at cooking, and they make really great meals, but they don't really know how to let the people know about it, because there's all this technology and websites and all online ordering and this and that. But if you don't know how to connect all those things, you have a gap, right? So, and people just, when they get overwhelmed, and they stop, and they just don't do it. I'll do something else. I'm really busy. What AI is going to bring is, it's just allow somebody to fill out a form, and that thing is going to create it. I mean, there's AI that you have chatbots that, you can put it on your website.
Yeah.
And your chatbot comes in and starts talking to the person, and you can, machine learning, you can actually teach the bot how to answer the questions that people have.
Exactly.
So you don't have to be on the phone. Like, you're not, you're on the phone with somebody with a buyer, you're a real estate agent, you're on the phone with a buyer, somebody goes on your webpage, the chat comes up and starts answering the question. That is that's a very, very helpful tool.
Powerful tool, yeah.
Which should be very, very powerful if utilized properly. So, I think the future that's where it's at, Web 3.0, that's where we're going.
And it's crazy because I don't consider myself technologically challenged. Like, I feel like I get along with technology, but even I'm still like trying to figure out how to connect it all together and get it all working in sync with one another.
And that's what the challenge is.
It's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot. Like, there's, and I'm not talking about a vacant lot. I'm talking about, it's a lot to like connect and get this communicating with this and that functioning with this, and it's crazy. Like, for instance, something that I'm playing with for the podcast is right now Zapier, right? So like that, what I was playing around with yesterday is that every time I load an episode, one of our next episode to YouTube, instead of me having to go into Facebook, copy and paste the link, I'm trying to get it to do that automatically. So once a new video is uploaded to the playlist, that video gets added to the group page without us having to touch it. You get what I'm
saying? And that's the key, right? It's the AI brings automation into the picture. And automation is where it works on its own without, you got to still pay attention. You can't ignore it. But it works, right? So if you record the video and you put it here, and it goes everywhere else that it needs to go. And then, and you create a landing page somewhere, and people watch the video, and when they click on the video, an email goes out to the person. Hey, welcome. Thank you for watching my video. And this is blah, blah, blah. And then they stop halfway through the video. And then the next day they get another email that says, hey, you stopped watching halfway through the video. You missed this part of the video. That's now exactly. The large corporations have that because they have the money to do that. But regular small business owners, they don't have the money to invest in all that stuff, because that's a lot of money. It's expensive. The monthly fees and the setup fees. So that's the gap. So AI, again, obviously there's gonna be a cost to it. It's, people, but it should allow people to have these things done for them at a fairly affordable price.
Well, it's becoming more common for small business owners to, as long as they have the willingness to learn the process and to put it all together or piece it all together. I mean, one industry that has blown up is the coaches who teach you how to do all this stuff. Like, that industry has blown up a lot. So it's just a matter of getting down and learning the tools and getting it to work with each other.
The problem with that industry is that they're all marketers.
Exactly.
And all they're selling is get rich quick, rich overnight, don't work, don't do anything, and they set up false expectations for people, thinking that, okay, if
I
I
would
buy this
agree.
thing,
I
I'm gonna do
definitely
anything.
agree with that. The language that they use tends to be lean towards like, playing to the fantasy of what everybody wants, right? But I don't blame them for being marketers because that's what we all are.
So they are, absolutely, but it's not a. But my point with that is, I don't blame them for it. It's just it's not the solution that people need. Like they need another. People need other. Like that solution is great for the guy that's out to wants to make $1 million overnight without working, knock yourself out. But there is also a need for the people that actually need to learn how to do it and do it properly, who are running a small business and not trying to get rich overnight. They're just trying to run their small business, and they can use that same tools in a manner that can increase their sales, because it can. It does. I mean, it literally. I've been doing some research on it, so that's why I have kind of the information. It's like for another thing I'm doing, but it does social media. Like the AI, like it looks at the person's like social, like the website,
The behavior.
and it creates their business page, and it gives you a report. Like, you have an A, a B, a C, or an F, you don't have a letter. It's so bad. Like you don't, because again, people.
It grades like the performance of your website.
But not only that, it's just like if you look at it, like you Google, restaurants near me, and all the list comes up, and you go one by one, and you click on website, you'd be surprised how many like have a Facebook page. And it's like a horrible looking Facebook page, and there's a PDF of their menu that you need to be like the bionic man to like be able to read it.
Yeah.
Right, and they're expecting somebody on their cell phone. I'm talking about a computer. I go into the page on a computer, and I can't read it, and they're expecting somebody on a cell phone who's driving, looking for a restaurant near me, to click near restaurant near me and open up that thing and see. Next, and I'm going to the next one that does have a page. Oh, okay, right. If I'm looking for a restaurant, I've never been there. Restaurants near me, if I feel like whatever, pizza near me, best pizza near me, whatever, and 10 restaurants pop up. I click on the first page, and it's a PDF that I can't even see the menu.
Yeah,
I can't. I mean, what am I going to do there? Next, and I go to the next one in line. But Google also, by the same token, the algorithm, the way it works is those restaurants that have those like lousy pages and presence don't come up at the top. They come up, page 9. But in Google, if you're not on page 1, forget about it. People are not going to page 2, page 3. You're not going to go to page 9 to find your restaurant. Right. So you need to do the SEO, and you need to do all the things that big companies pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to be up at the front. Small businesses need to do that on their own.
I know.
Or pay somebody to do it. They can't pay somebody to do it. And as we've been discussing, doing it on your own, it's hard work. It's almost like if I wanted, I'm fairly smart, right? I mean, that could be debated, and you ask some people, and they might give you a different answer. But I feel like I'm fairly educated, fairly smart. I can figure things out. I could theoretically learn how to do like all the stuff that you know how to do. I'm sure I can learn how to do it with enough time and education. But then I have to stop my job and quit my job to become a full-time student to learn how to put the pieces together so I can do I can market myself for my job.
That's the tough part.
That's the tough part.
That's the tough part.
You gotta, when you sit down to eat, you want to have food, you want to have food on those plates. You can't have an empty plate. It's not fun. So people are like, I'll do it later. And it's just an animal that people don't poke that bear too much. So AI will definitely help in that. I really see that. Like I see the way that's going to go. It's towards that.
Yeah.
I mean, that ChatGPT is amazing.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, definitely. I've been using it since December. And I was introduced to it by a partner, and when I was getting into the use of it, I was like, yo, this isn't about the artificial intelligence just doing things for you. You actually have to know how to ask a question. Like, in order to get the results that you want, you have to manipulate your questions in a certain way in order to prompt the tool to
to
you know,
give you the answer. The tool has the knowledge, the tool has the information to spit it out to you.
mm-hmm.
You just gotta the prompt how to pull it out.
Correct. And there's certain things that the tool is not going to know about your personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to throw in certain details in there for it to kind of like throw it in the mix of what it's gonna create generically.
Correct.
So it's been very cool and fun to work with. And in fact, as far as speed goes, you get what I'm saying? Like, to be honest, it's what helped me produce the topics for the episodes that we have. You get what I'm saying? So that's like key. It helps with
It gives
and
so
getting
much.
the creator's mind, like as like instead of okay, I need to put 3 hours aside to do this content or copywriting. Like it's like okay, I can go from idea to conception real quick like this.
Because
So
a lot of times it's that the idea that you lack, right? You're looking for something, and here if you get a base, you got 10 ideas, 10 topics, 5 were no good,
mhm.
and 3 were really good. Okay, you take those 3 and then you work on those and you find other topics and you start, and it's a much easier process than you start coming up with a list of 10 on your own, because
Yeah,
your mind is only where your mind is, and this thing is so much broader and it's got so much extra information that we obviously do not have, that's there at our fingertips. I mean, that's amazing. I learned about this before the summer. My son's actually the one that told me about it, because he's into all this stuff, and so he's like, Dad, there's this thing coming, AI, and all right, do some research and tell me about it. And then, Dad, this thing's amazing, and he started using it. He was using it last year. Like, this is great. He showed it to me. Like, okay, let me figure out. I was, but now it's like, oh, you're right. You're onto something here. And then, yeah, I mean, it's a great tool, phenomenal tool.
absolutely. It's insane. So what you call it? I mean, we're definitely gonna be implementing it. I would love to have a conversation with someone who's probably on the next level or above us on it. But it's gonna be
learning. Huh? What did they say at the? I know you guys had a meeting this week and they were talking about it. What was the? I mean, what was the gist of the? What are they? Did they give you any data or anything like that in that meeting you guys had?
not necessarily data, but just the know-how on how to utilize it for our business, like how to come up with a marketing plan, how to use it for a listing description, how to.
Oh, so they actually gave you the how to do that.
Yeah, like
oh, that's cool.
They
okay.
opened it up. They opened it up like to teach us how to use it to help with creating the email content and listing content to use within our business. That's how they, and then how to use it with the Compass AI, because Compass has invested.
On there, yeah.
Speaking of large corporations, Compass has invested over $800 million into their platform.
Absolutely. Which is I don't know if we talked about this before. I don't remember the as I understand it, one of the reasons for the joint venture between Compass and Guaranteed is that technology, because Guaranteed is pretty powerful technology as well. So Compasses and they're migrate, like they're what's the proper word? They're co-mingling. I don't know what the proper, but they're working together to kind of combine those technologies to bring that experience to the buyer to another level, right? Because
what I'm wondering. Go ahead.
You as a Compass agent are going to be able to, when you have a buyer that's in the process, you're going to get notification. You're not going to get personal notification, like personal information from the buyer, but you're going to get notification. Loans approved. Ooh, automatically. Like, it's going to be part of that. So you're going to be in the loop, right? You don't need to. I got to call John to see if my loan's approved. Oh, I got to call Robert, tell him his loan's approved. They're going to be in sync. That technology is going to talk to each other, and that's just one of the. Again, with my limited kind of knowledge of technology to explain it properly, I'm sure I'm not doing it service what all the stuff that they can do, but that's kind of what the plan is. That's how it's going to come, which is pretty cool.
On our portal, we've got like Compass has been able to get rid of any outside email campaign software. Skyslope, for instance, which is like a transaction management software, It's all within our portal. Now, just recently, we're able to do electronic signatures through our platform. Like there's so many things that the Compass platform has been able to get rid of as far as expenses and having to utilize third-party services to manage our business.
Mhm.
I'm wondering with Origin Point, that what you just said, that communication to where I don't have to wait for an email on an update on my buyer's loan process. Now, if it's in the portal and we're under contract on this property, I can see, okay, we move past inspection, right? Then the buyer got conditional loan approval, okay, and it might show me, all right, 5, 6 items that need to be submitted. And then as the buyer submitting it, will I see that? That okay, they
Correct.
submitted conditions 2, 3, and 4. So now we're missing 1, 5, and 6. All right, boom. Then I'll get notified when all the conditions are met. All right, now we move along. Now we can order the appraisal. And like that would be cool if within the transaction on the Compass platform, we can see also what's
That
happening
whole process.
inside.
Now, and that's I don't know all the details and all, but that's my understanding of
Of what the intent.
what they're working towards is
Yeah.
that's my understanding of what that's supposed to look like. Which
That's
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's just it just makes a better experience for the buyer. I mean, at the end of the day, the one that gets that benefit is because it's going to have a, as we talked about earlier, right? It's just
customer
before
experience.
the
It's
stress
customer
that people go
experience.
through. It's just going to be a much better experience and a much better process. If it's for the buyer, then it's a much better process for everybody else involved, right? Because I mean, we really want what we really want always is a happy buyer, right? I mean, we all want to do our close and do our make money and do all the things you do, but at the end of the day, if you don't have a happy buyer, what's the point of like doing this? You need to find another career. So that can help in making that transaction smoother for buyers. Definitely.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. So we're definitely going to be digging a lot deeper on that as time passes, as we implement it with what we're doing here with the podcast and getting the information out to the people. I'm pretty sure in the future we're going to have to do some stuff in Spanish. It's going to wedge me into that corner to do that, but hey, I'm with whatever challenge. So
Hey man, there's a need to share that information out there, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with that said, you got any last thoughts to share?
Just kind of waiting this week. It's waiting until tomorrow. That PC report comes out tomorrow. We'll see what that shows. We won't be able to talk about it in the morning. It'll be Monday's episode that I can kind of report on it. But it's gonna not expecting too much, nothing too crazy, right? Because the data from last year is there, so it's nothing earth shattering, nothing too crazy. We'll see. We'll continue keeping an eye on it. We'll see what it does to the market.
All right. All right. So with that said, definitely looking forward to that. Tomorrow, we're going to be discussing the intersection of real estate and renewable energy, right? Opportunities and challenges. I think I'm going to invite Solar Steve to our conversation tomorrow and see if he has any input on that. So that we can get some insight on that and then use that to leverage to I guess as a stepping stone for the other conversation where we're gonna have the tax specialist and go over that from 4 different angles in the weeks to come.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. So we will be in touch, everybody. This is Robert Murillo, broker associate with Team Aroa, powered by Compass. License number BK3373543.
John Sepulveda, MLS 1309244 with Origin Point. Talk to you tomorrow, guys.
Signing out, the DM, Florida Real Estate.